crumbs that they are giving to workers.
A couple extra $1,000 in your paycheck every year doesn't mean anything to Nancy Pelosi. I believe that my opponent was handpicked by Nancy Pelosi. The whole race is around, if we elect more Democrats, we're going to get Nancy Pelosi as Speaker.
We've talked about this race before with Meet the Press's Chuck Todd. So, Chuck, we wanted to bring you back in to kind of talk about what we're seeing now. This race against Pelosi that's kind of erupted across the country. Arkansas is no exception. Do you think the majority of Republicans, including Hills Base, respond well to this, or is this more of, a dated approach, as Democrats like to call it?
You know, that's the big question I have here. Is it how dated will this approach look to some voters, right? It's been 10 years. They've been using this strategy, you could argue, going back to 10. So essentially 4 straight election cycles where they're using this strategy. That said, it has proven effective in some places. I think it's more effective against incumbent Democrats than it is against challenger Democrats, for what it's worth. But you know what? You'll find out how effective it is, depending on what Clark Tucker decides to do when asked the question of who he's going to vote for, right? How defiant is he? We saw in a Pennsylvania special election, the Democrat there said, I'm not going to vote for Nancy Pelosi. I'm voting for new leadership. Others have said, my opponent's worried about the leadership in Washington. I'm worried about you, and they try to duck the question. Look, I think it's a gamble that I get what French Hill is doing, but there's always a gamble here of latching onto the idea that this is a nationalized race. Because, frankly, when you're the incumbent member of Congress, the more nationalized a race gets, usually the worse it is for incumbents. So